Hi, I'm Daniel Cunningham, CEO of Leonardo 24/7, and today I'll be discussing move-in, move-out inspections. Where landlord-tenant law comes into play with move-in, move-out inspections is typically surrounding the security deposit. So first, a few basics. Landlords can usually charge anywhere from 2 to 3 times the monthly rent as a security deposit. In some locations, interest needs to be earned while the landlord holds your deposit. That varies from place to place. But then when you move out, within a prescribed amount of time, in California, for example, it's 21 days, the landlord typically has to return your security deposit along with a statement that outlines the move-out charges that they imposed. Sometimes that time frame is actually shorter if the damages actually exceed the deposit amount. But a landlord can charge a tenant for cleaning, unpaid rent, and then damage to the rental unit that's beyond normal wear and tear. And that's the part of the key point here. This is why a move-in, move-out inspection is really important. This is where it comes into play. So for any cleaning or damage charges that the landlord wants to pass through to the resident, they need to clearly establish that the unit was in worse shape than it would have been otherwise due to normal wear and tear. You can't charge for carpet replacements if the carpet is 5 years old and needs to be replaced when the resident moves out, because that's the useful life of a carpet. But if the carpet was brand new and now has a giant burn mark in it and it needs to be replaced, well, that's legitimate damage charge if you can demonstrate that it wasn't there to begin with. So a move-in inspection is a critical step to establish the initial condition of the interior of the unit, so that your move-out inspection, it can clearly demonstrate where cleaning and damage fees are warranted. So this is also important because typically residents have around 3 years to sue to recover security deposits that they feel were wrongly withheld. So having records you can go back to is extremely important. You need to conduct these inspections in a digital format, like within Leonardo 24/7, that will save the inspection data and allow you to come back 3 years, if necessary, and find that original inspection if you need it. So in a move-in, move-out inspection, you want to look at every piece of FF&E, fixtures, furniture, and equipment. And you want to note its condition, take photos to confirm if necessary. And this should all be done using a digital inspection tool so that it's performed the same way every time without bias, and can be saved in a folder associated with that unit so that if you need to come back, say 3 years later, and justify the charges to a court, you can easily find it. So when the resident moves in, you want to capture that initial state of the unit. You want to make sure that the resident is giving you their signature. Ideally, you're capturing that on a digital form as well, so that that allows you to capture that signature right when you're standing there next to the resident, or if they're doing the move-in inspection in a remote environment, if they're sort of self-certifying the state of the unit and move-in, they can submit that signature on any mobile device that they're using. Now, at move-out, you want to then look for damage that's beyond normal wear and tear in the inspection. You want to look at, say, for example, carpets, appliances, and furniture. They're all typically expected to last about 5 years. So they need to be replaced prior to that. Those are charges that you want to note. You can pass those back to the resident. And one small note here, it's not the full replacement cost that you can charge back. It's the prorated remaining value of that item. So if you have a carpet that should last 5 years and you're 3 years through it and it needs to be replaced, well, you have 2 years of the prorated value that you can charge back. So part of this, a key part of this whole process, is to have an asset tracking system in place that tells you when something was installed and the replacement cost, if you want to calculate the remaining useful life and figure out the appropriate damages. The units should be typically left in the same condition in which they were originally rented. And so heavily soiled items that require additional cleaning can be noted, and you can assess additional charges for that as well. Now, with a good, thoughtful move-in, move-out process, with a well-developed inspection form, none of these should be arbitrary or discretionary, and they should be completely defensible in court if you ever have to get involved in something like that. Not to mention, you'll save possibly creating an adversarial relationship with your resident by arguing over, what the condition was when they moved in versus what they move out, and just setting that he said, she said aside, and just looking at the facts. And that's a big benefit of a proper move-in, move-out process. So to properly document the initial move-in condition and the move-out condition, you have to have a thoughtful move-in, move-out process, number one, so that you're capturing this information in a timely manner. You don't want the resident to be in there for even more than a couple days without having the move-in inspection done. And then move-out inspection, you might do a pre-move-out inspection to kind of establish what the resident will pay if the unit looks like it does at the pre-move-out inspection. Once they've actually moved out, that helps kind of avoid some tension with the residents. And then the move-out inspection, once they've actually moved out, again, needs to be performed right away. And all of that should be done in a digital form on a mobile device that can work in a disconnected mode. So if you're in an area that doesn't have cellular signal, you want to still be able to use that device in that inspection form. Should be able to capture photos, store those real time, capture signatures, and then save all that information so that when you move out, when the resident moves out, you have it to compare. Ideally, it will all deposit that information into a system that will allow you to automatically create a comparison report to show move-in, move-out reports like we do in Leonardo 24/7. That's hugely important. And then it should be stored in such a way that you can come back anytime, easily find that inspection, and come back to it and refer to it again should you get into a dispute with the resident. It should create a statement of deposit accounting, sometimes called a SOTA, so that once the move-out inspection is performed, you can essentially immediately create for them their statement, because that has to go to the resident, usually within some prescribed period of time, sometimes as long as 21 days. But you need to, it'd be great if you can just print that right out right after you do the inspection and provide that to them. So using a tool like Leonardo 24/7 that allows you to create these inspections exactly how you want them so that everybody's using the same form across your whole portfolio, so they can be done in a timely, quick fashion with all the questions, some things pre-populated, drop-downs pre-populated, so you're not really imposing on the resident when you want to do those inspections. They're very quick. All of that, I think, is really important to a smoothly running and efficient move-in, move-out process that in the end is going to save you money. I'm Daniel Cunningham, CEO of Leonardo 24/7. Thank you for joining me as I talk more about move-in, move-out inspections. And if you'd like to learn more, visit us at leonardo247.com and request a demo.